The Russian tank spots the Ukrainian tank first. It is sitting around 800 meters out, partly hidden by terrain, just visible enough through the sight to become a target. Inside the Russian turret, the gunner knows this is the moment he has been waiting for. His heart is pounding, his hands are tight on the controls. The Ukrainian tank is in the open, it has not fired yet. For 1 second, the Russian crew has everything. First sight, first aim, first shot. The commander calls the target, the gun settles. The range is close enough that there is no excuse. At 800 meters, a tank round does not take long to arrive. If the shot is good, the Ukrainian crew will not even understand they are dead until the inside of their tank becomes fire and metal. The Russian gunner takes a breath, then he fires. You see the muzzle flash before you hear anything, a white bloom from the front of the T-72. For half a second, the Russian crew believes the duel is over. Then the round goes high and left. It slams into the dirt around 40 meters past the Ukrainian hull, throwing a column of earth into the air. And that miss changes everything. Inside the Ukrainian tank, the crew now knows exactly where the shot came from. The muzzle flash gave away the position, the dust line gave away the angle. The Russian tank had the first shot, but now it has a much bigger problem. It needs to reload. The T-72's autoloader starts cycling. Somewhere under the turret, the carousel rotates, searching for the next round. Metal moves, the gun waits, the crew waits. 8 seconds, 9 seconds, maybe 10. Inside a normal room, 10 seconds is nothing. Inside a tank that has just missed its first shot, 10 seconds is a lifetime. The Ukrainian gunner does not need 10 seconds. He already has the Russian tank in the sight. The commander is watching the target. The laser rangefinder burns the distance. The ballistic computer solves the shot. The reticle settles on the turret ring, the seam between the turret and the hull. It is not just an aim point, it is a death sentence. Because underneath that ring sits the ammunition carousel, the one thing every T-72 crew hopes never gets touched. Shells and charges arranged beneath the crew compartment, close enough that one penetrating hit can turn the entire vehicle into a bomb. The Ukrainian commander gives the order. The gunner fires. The round crosses the distance in under a second. This time, it does not miss. It hits the Russian tank near the turret ring, and for the briefest moment, there is just impact. Then, the ammunition inside finds the flame. The tank erupts. The turret lifts off the hull, thrown upward by the explosion beneath it. Fire blasts through the hatches. Smoke expands outward. The turret flips and lands far away from the vehicle it used to belong to. The Russian crew never gets the second shot. They had the advantage. They had the first fire. They had the Ukrainian tank in front of them, but they missed. And on this battlefield, missing first can mean dying second. The Ukrainian tank backs away from the firing line before the smoke even clears. No pause, no celebration, no need. The duel is over. Number 4, 20 meters. That is the distance now. 20 meters between two tanks that were built to kill each other from across fields, not from the length of a parking lot. At this range, the optics are almost useless. The gun does not need long-range correction. The crew does not need a perfect ballistic solution. There is no elegant tank warfare here. This is a knife fight with 40-ton machines. The Russian tank has been hiding near the trees, trying to survive while the position around it collapses. Ukrainian tanks are already firing into the area. Infantry is moving. Drones are watching from above. The Russian crew knows they are being seen, but they do not know exactly from where. Then they move. That is the mistake. The Ukrainian tank commander sees the Russian vehicle trying to reposition. Maybe the Russian crew thinks they can slip away through the smoke. Maybe they think the trees still protect them. Maybe they think the Ukrainian tank will stay at range. It does not. The Ukrainian driver pushes forward. The distance closes fast. 50 meters, 40, 30. Inside the Russian tank, the crew has to realize what is happening. The enemy is not trading shots anymore. The enemy is coming straight at them. The Russian turret starts to move. Too slow. 20 meters. The Ukrainian gunner has the target filling the sight. There is no time to think about perfect weak spots. No time to be clever. The Russian tank is right there, huge in the optic, close enough that one mistake from either crew ends the duel instantly. The Ukrainian gun fires. At 20 meters, the round arrives almost at the same moment the muzzle flash appears. It smashes into the Russian tank and punches smoke out of the hull. A hit, but not a kill. And that is the most dangerous moment in the duel, because a damaged tank is not always a dead tank. The Russian gun may still work, the crew may still be alive, the turret may still be turning. At 20 meters, even a wounded tank can kill you if you give it one clean second. The Ukrainian crew does not give it that second. The gun cycles again. The breach takes the next round. The gunner keeps the same aim point, because at this range, you do not go hunting for a new target. You hammer the wound you already opened. The Russian tank sits there, smoking, still present, still terrifying. The Ukrainian gun fires again. The second impact finishes it. Dark smoke begins pouring out of the Russian vehicle. Not a clean explosion, not a spectacular turret toss, just the ugly death of a machine that has been hit too hard, too close, too many times. The Russian tank stops fighting. Inside the Ukrainian tank, nobody waits to confirm every detail. At this distance, staying is how winners become wreckage. There could be infantry nearby, there could be an anti-tank missile team watching, there could be an FPV drone already lifting off from behind the trees. The commander gives the order, reverse. The Ukrainian tank backs away from the dead Russian vehicle, leaving it smoking in the open. 20 meters, that was the entire margin between life and death. The Russian crew tried to move, the Ukrainian crew decided to chase. And once the distance collapsed, the duel belonged to whoever fired cleanly first. Next, number 3. The Ukrainian tank is sitting beside a farmhouse. From the Russian convoy's point of view, it is almost invisible. Just another broken building on the edge of an abandoned settlement, another gray shape in a war full of gray shapes. But inside that hidden tank, the commander is watching the convoy roll closer. He has picked this spot carefully. The house protects one side, the open field gives him a firing lane. The village hides the tank's outline. The Russians are driving into the exact space he wants them in, and they have no idea. The convoy keeps coming. Tanks, APCs, armored vehicles pushing forward as if the village is already theirs. Artillery has tried to stop them. Shells have landed nearby. Dirt has jumped around the column, but they keep moving. That is what armored columns do when the crews believe momentum will save them. If they stop, they become targets. If they keep moving, maybe they break through. Maybe the defenders panic. Maybe the line opens. But this time, the line is waiting. Inside the Ukrainian tank, the gunner has the lead vehicles in sight. The commander waits. Not yet. The convoy moves deeper into the open. Not yet. The first Russian vehicle crosses the killing ground. Now, the Ukrainian tank fires. The first shot misses. For a moment, that should be disaster. A hidden tank has just revealed itself. The muzzle flash gives away the position. The smoke points back toward the farmhouse. Every Russian turret should turn at once, but they do not. The convoy keeps moving. That is when the Ukrainian crew realizes the enemy still has not found them. Maybe the Russians think it was artillery. Maybe the building hides the shot. Maybe there is too much smoke, too much noise, too much chaos. Whatever the reason, the Ukrainian tank has been given a second chance. The gun reloads. The gunner corrects. The commander keeps his eyes on the convoy. Second shot. Direct hit. An APC erupts into flames. The vehicle twists offline, burning hard, its movement suddenly gone. The convoy begins to lose its shape. The vehicles behind it slow down. The ones in front keep pushing. Nobody knows if they should stop, reverse, or charge. That confusion is exactly what the Ukrainian commander wanted. He fires again, another impact. Now the Russians understand something is very wrong. They are not just under artillery fire. There is a tank nearby, and it is shooting them from a position they still cannot properly locate. Vehicles begin turning awkwardly in the open. Some try to reverse, some keep advancing. Some crews swing their guns toward the wrong place. The formation starts breaking apart. Inside the Ukrainian tank, the crew is working through the rhythm. Find target, fire, reload, correct, fire again. The farmhouse is doing its job. The open field is doing its job. The Russian convoy is trapped in the one place where numbers do not help them fast enough. One Ukrainian tank cannot destroy an entire armored column, but it can do something more important. It can break the attack. Another Russian vehicle is hit. Smoke rises. The convoy's forward momentum dies. The assault begins turning into a retreat. Not because every vehicle is destroyed, but because the crews no longer know where safety is. Forward means more shots. Backward means traffic and burning wrecks. Stopping means becoming the next target. The Ukrainian tank holds just long enough, then it pulls back. The village is still there. The farmhouse is still standing. The open ground in front of it is now marked by burning Russian armor. One tank did not beat a convoy by being stronger. It beat the convoy by choosing the ground, waiting for the right second, and forcing every Russian crew to make bad decisions under fire. Next, number 2. The Russian T-90M thinks the Bradley is running. That is the mistake. In the ruins of the village, the first Bradley has already appeared, fired a burst from its 25mm cannon, and pulled away. From inside the Russian tank, that probably looks exactly how it should look. A light armored vehicle tried to challenge Russia's most modern tank. Then it lost its nerve. Because a Bradley is not supposed to win this fight. Not from the front. Not against a T-90M. The Russian tank has heavy armor, explosive reactive blocks, a 125mm gun, thermal sights, and the kind of battlefield reputation that makes lighter vehicles think very carefully before getting close. The Bradley has a 25mm cannon. Against the front of a T-90M, that should not be enough. The Russian crew believes the immediate threat has moved away. But the threat has not moved away. It has moved around. The second Bradley comes in from the side, while the T-90M's attention is still pointed toward where the first one used to be. The village ruins give the Ukrainian crew cover just long enough to reach the angle they need. Inside the Bradley, the gunner is not thinking about punching through the thickest armor. That would waste time. He is thinking about the parts of the tank that armor cannot fully protect. Optics, sights, thermal cameras, sensor boxes, the gun barrel, the fragile eyes and nerves of the machine. The Bushmaster opens up. The first burst walks across the T-90M's turret. Sparks jump, fragments fly. The tank is not destroyed, but it is being stripped. Every round that hits the outside of the turret is attacking the tank's ability to understand the battlefield. Inside the Russian tank, the crew hears the impacts hammering the armor. They may not know exactly where the Bradley is. That is the terrifying part. The tank is still alive. The armor is still holding. The engine is still running. The main gun is still there. But its vision is being torn apart. The T-90M tries to respond. The turret moves. The driver reverses. The crew is now reacting instead of controlling the fight. The Bradley keeps firing. This is not a duel where one round ends everything. This is worse. This is a modern tank being dismantled while the crew is still inside it. The Ukrainian gunner does not need to penetrate the front armor. He needs to blind the tank long enough to make it useless. More 25mm rounds slap into the turret. The T-90M reverses harder. The turret swings, searching. But a tank that cannot see properly cannot fight properly. Every second of confusion makes the Russian crew more desperate. They know the Bradley is close. They know they are being hit. They know they need to get out of the kill zone. Then the tank backs into a tree. It stops. That moment looks almost ridiculous on camera. Russia's advanced T-90M, trapped not by a massive anti-tank missile, but by blindness, panic, and bad movement in a ruined village. But that is the battlefield now. A tank does not have to explode to lose. It only has to lose the ability to see, move, and shoot. The Bradley has done exactly that. The Russian crew went into the fight believing the Bradley was the weaker vehicle. And in raw armor, it was. But the Ukrainian crews were not fighting a spreadsheet. They were fighting a tank's weak points. One Bradley distracted, the second Bradley flanked, the Bushmaster blinded the target, the tree finished the movement. The T-90M is still physically there, but as a fighting vehicle, it is finished. Next, number 1. The Russian convoy hits the mines first. That is how the trap begins. A column of Russian armor moves forward across open ground. Tanks, APCs, infantry vehicles, all pushing toward Ukrainian positions. From the Russian side, this is supposed to be the start of an assault. Armor leads, infantry follows, the line breaks, the map changes. But Ukraine has already prepared the ground. The lead vehicles hit the minefield. Explosions rip through the front of the convoy. Tracks are damaged. Vehicles stop suddenly. Everything behind them compresses. Drivers begin making decisions without enough information. Go forward and risk more mines. Reverse and block the vehicles behind. Turn off the route and expose the side armor. Stop and become a target. There is no good answer. And then the Leopards start firing. Through the thermal sight, the Russian vehicles glow bright against the cold field. Inside the Leopard, the gunner does not need to guess where the convoy is going anymore, because the mines have already taken away its movement. The target is stopped. The commander calls it. The gun fires. The first APC is hit before the crew inside understands the minefield was only the opening move. Then the second Leopard fires. Another vehicle is destroyed. Now the Russian convoy is trapped between two problems. The mines are beneath them, the tank rounds are coming from ahead. The open field gives them no cover. Smoke begins to rise from the damaged vehicles, but not enough to hide the entire column. The Leopards work as a pair. That is what makes this so deadly. If a Russian vehicle tries to move out of one Leopard's line of fire, it gives the other one a better angle. If it reverses, it runs into the vehicles behind it. If it pushes forward, it risks more mines. If it stops, it waits for the next 120mm round. Inside the Russian vehicles, the crews are making panicked choices now. Some keep moving, some try to retreat. Some infantry carriers drop their ramps. Soldiers spill out into the open field. That is the worst possible place to be, because the moment they leave the armor, they are no longer protected by steel. They are just men running across ground that Ukrainian guns are already watching. The Leopards keep firing. Shot. Impact. Another APC is torn open by a direct hit. The blast is so violent that the vehicle barely has time to burn before pieces of it are scattered across the field. A surviving vehicle tries to angle away. The second Leopard catches it. Another shot lands. The convoy is no longer an assault. It is a traffic jam under fire, and every second makes it worse. The minefield has broken the formation. The Leopards are destroying the vehicles. The infantry is running for the trees. The crews that stay inside are trapped in machines that may become the next target. The crews that get out are exposed in the open. This is the brutal beauty of the ambush. The Ukrainian tanks do not need to chase. They do not need to rush. They have the range. They have the optics. They have the prepared ground. They have the convoy exactly where they want it. Another Leopard round hits. Another Russian vehicle dies. The survivors run toward the woods, because the woods are the only thing nearby that looks like cover. But running is not the same as escaping. The attack they came to launch is already finished. The Russian convoy entered the field as a formation. It leaves as burning vehicles, abandoned armor, and men disappearing into the trees. The Leopards remain at the edge of the kill zone, still loaded, still watching, ready to fire again if anything moves. That is not just a tank duel. That is an armored assault being taken apart one decision at a time. First the mines stopped them, then the Leopards found them, then the field became a graveyard. Bye for now.